Okay, so tonight we're going to work on day-night cycles for different planets, and we're going to start off with following up with exactly what all needs to be given some sort of procedural or random colors. The sky has a day-night cycle in the change of color, but I also want to be adding different colored moons, suns, clouds, terrain, rocks within the mining complex itself. So we're going to add a list of all things that are going to differ on each planet so that they can be handled one at a time as separate issues. Alright, and a quick review of the current state. I'm going to check this out. Alright, so the current version, we definitely have some fairly complete stuff, but this is kind of an arcade mode. There's just this one playthrough, and it really lacks sort of progress as you go through the game. So what I'm going to work on is really represent different planets that you're doing your mining at. So you'll use up all the resources in one place, meet some specified goal for the level, and move on. And progressively, the mining and the attack get more difficult. Alright, always want to check out any errors that pop up with a quick test. At least file. So this is definitely going into Bug Tracker, so we're going to go ahead and add that. And as a reminder, these live dev streams, I don't know how consistently I'm going to keep up with them. This is still sort of a work in progress. The working idea right now is Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 10 to 11 at night, so Eastern time. So if I find that schedule works well, I'm going to keep up with it. The days of the week work pretty well for me. If anything, it might cut back to fewer days a week streaming. But I think it's going to work pretty well. I do more work than that on this game. Um, I plan to do more work than that on this game, but I think that an hour 3 times a week streaming works pretty well for me in terms of keeping the pace up of the work I do. What is this error? Let's take a look. This is in the factory controller, which is, take a look. Factory controller is this button right here, which lets you enable all the current factories you have to start producing one missile each. That needs to enable and disable itself, and also to highlight when it currently is in use. So that seems to be the bit that's not working right now, and we'll take a look at that. It's getting triggered every frame the let's see, where is that factory controller? It needs to constantly check all the factories to see if they're currently operating, because it needs to be at least one unused factory in order for the button to be able to be active. So it goes through all the factories and checks all of them if they're currently operating. And if I take a look, I have one factory that is currently in progress. It's only just been created. So that seems to be when this happened. We'll go ahead and add those details to the issue. So I'm going to mark this a good priority, but in terms of milestone, I'm not going to let this block any particular feature, because this only affects whether or not this button is highlighting to be currently active, and if I'm right, it only affects as soon as the factory is created. It's only going to be an issue for one frame. We definitely don't want the error, but it's not a blocking issue, so I'm going to move on with the test right now. And I am experimenting right now with a higher resolution for the stream. So I think there's a okay, yep. This test's gonna end soon. I am out of minerals. And yep. Alright, I'm gonna adjust the video quality and be back with the stream in just a second. I'm going to work very quickly on one small thing that bugs me with the recent feature I added. Implemented entity pools so that I could create a sort of exhaust plume from the rockets, but they all, well, I'll go ahead and I'll show the issue real quick. When I fire multiple rockets, they all have a sort of, you can kind of see the distribution of this. So it's still even. It needs to be a little bit up when they start. So that would make it a little more natural look as they don't all line up. So we're going to go ahead and add a configuration setting for when the first spawn will happen. And I'm realizing that's actually something that's more likely to be affecting the rocket itself, which uses that pull. So we'll go ahead and look for anywhere we're using that, where we begin spawning, which is here. So this, we're going to, we repeatedly, every fifth of a second, we spawn in a little cloud, and I think all we need to do is make that start somewhere in the middle. So we just want to start anywhere between, say, 1 and 1/10 of a second, just to create a little bit of variation, which will make that exhaust look a little more natural, a little less uniform. Oh, yeah. Need to reload the code. I do not have auto code reloading. There's a bug in one of my components, and it's very difficult to track down which, because the effect of the bug is actually crash the entire Unity editor. So I am going to, for the moment, just keep auto reloading off. I do plan to address this and try to track down the specific behavior that causes this, and if I ever can figure out what the issue is, I'm going to be really happy to write up an explanation and maybe help somebody else out. It's a very nerve-wracking thing to try to resolve when every time the bug is tested, a failure to fix it means the entire editor crashing. Alright, let's give this another try. Alright, a little better. I'm seeing that just the uniformity along the trail still looking a little too unnatural, so I think instead of invoke repeating, we're just going to do a straight invoke. And have it always schedule the next one, so that it can be a little randomized nature along the whole trail. This might be something as well that I try to kind of wrap into the entity pool itself. So I might track an object and maybe to spawn along its movement every so often, or based on distance. Whether or not that is needed in this game is probably a definite no. So it might be just something I plan for the future, to try to start pulling stuff out of this for the next title. But might want to check my typos. Range of a second to a fifth of a second and a 1/10 of a second to a fifth of a second is two very different ranges. So let's give that another shot. That looks a lot better. Alright. Definitely happy with that. think I'm gonna keep the range, but just kind of slide it down a little bit. I want a little more of a trail of smoke and less of this sort of puffs along the way. It's probably getting a little nitpicky. It's probably very uninteresting. Again, moving that range completely wrong. That is much nicer. Go ahead and submit that. Right, and now I want to get on to the meat of tonight's work. Let's take a look at current bugs. See if there's a good low-hanging fruit or even something that's a little more deep-rooted, because I definitely want to get a little bit more of a stable base while I'm working on the next set of improvements, trying to work from this small randomized arcade levels to kind of a more of a progressive series of challenges. Alright, this is a good one. 2298. Go ahead and test this when advancing a mine to a tile shared with another mine can build from the wrong mine. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of testing and see if we can find this. See if I can narrow down the specific cases where this occurs. We're going to make two mines with one space between them. The problem happens when trying to mine on a tile that's touching two different mine tunnels at the same time. Now the mine this way, the bug that happens occurs when the mine goes from the wrong side. Alright, so it didn't happen that time. Just keep digging them both straight down and trying to make connected tunnels back and forth until we see an instance of the bug happening. So I'm just trying to test right now, not really to play the game. So I'm just gonna give myself a bunch of free minerals, a bunch of free missiles, make sure I can keep playing the test. So right here, this mine shaft right here is connecting from the wrong place. We're going to figure out why. So it is horizontal. It is going to the left because it's moving from the right. But we mined it from this shaft. So when we try to activate this tile, should have been able to find the correct one, and that's not happening. So we're going to look for this where this two left and two right are set. That is what is activating which animation happens, and I think that we'll pretty quickly see what's going on. This mine shaft from the incorrect mine, it's also moved in the animator to its open to left state. So it's not just the tile that I'm activating, it is also activating via the wrong mine. So I think that looking for this open to left state, figuring out where that happens, we should be able to track down what's going on. Hmm. Alright, well, there's I think a pair of issues here. The first is I think I have some of these two left and from left and two right and from right variables backwards. Saying they're going from the left and they mean to the left or the other way around, and that certainly needs to be resolved. But I think the specific issue here is when a mine can be activated, if it can be mined from the left, which I think is the one that's backwards. But essentially, we're just checking both directions, left or right, and using the first one that happens when in fact we need to mine from the direction that connects to the currently active mine. Earlier version of this um, worked a bit differently where you didn't activate which mine you wanted to mine from. Yeah, so the behavior definitely, the requirements have changed, and the behavior needs to update and match that. All right, so we're going to see where this mining is initiated and what we can do to match up the mining of a specific clod of dirt to the mine it's supposed to be coming from. So these mines right here, when they are not active, which right now this mine is not active and this one is, when they're not active, tapping on one activates it as the currently active mine, and then waits for any of the adjacent dirt tiles to be activated as the next dirt to mine into. That's what's happening right here, that as long as there is a current mine waiting for selection, we'll go ahead and start mining. But there's no connection there, where within this start mining, we don't look at what the current mine is. And I think that's what we need to do, is the current mine coming from the left, the right, or above? I got my first live stream viewer and I lost my first live stream viewer in 1 minute. I am probably a pretty boring developer. Hmm. Alright. I think we can do something with this. Previous version used this can mine from to check if a adjacent cell, left, right, or above, is capable of being a source of, if it has a tunnel that you can mine from. What I just need to do is make sure that that tunnel is actually connected to the current mine. That was also before mines were created on the surface to start. So I think we can get rid of this, for example. We'll go ahead and look for, well, this isn't actually used anymore, so we can clean that up. So what I need to find is there a place I'm referencing a mine? Hmm. Alright. I think, yeah, I think I can do this. So via this I connect mine, looks like from the dirt, I want to go ahead and get his mine shaft. property, so that'll be easy to find. It's going to say from the mine shaft, get the mine. The difference is these are the mines, these are all mine shafts. I'm actually going to grab two of them. We're going to grab what is my mine and what is the other shaft's mine. And a new prerequisite of being able to mine is, in fact, that both the mine you're mining and this one are the same. But I'm realizing at the time I'm doing this, I don't actually have a mine yet because I haven't done that connection. So what I really need to do is add that as a parameter. So we only say, can you mine from, can this cell mine from this mine? We don't actually need to know. We only need the current one, so we don't even need to get a mine. What we need to do is, what is the mine of the cell we're looking at? We can go here through the dirt's mine shaft and check is mine the same as current mine. I'm gonna turn this off. Again, auto reloading is disabled, so I'm gonna have to start the game over, or the test play anyway. Seem to be consistently always coming from the right, and I still have that separate issue of the left and right being backwards. I'm gonna worry less about that right now, as long as they're consistent. Being backwards isn't too much of an issue. And I definitely want to treat this as resolved while also keeping, unfortunately, a new ticket that's more of an internal code issue note view left, right, my chef goes. Basically, anywhere I'm referencing left and right, I need to make sure that I'm actually talking about the right direction. Not really sure how much of an issue that is. If I really care to fix it right now, so I just want to make sure it is recorded. So another part of moving from this, just a progression within one level, longer you play, harder it gets, and never really having like a stepped progression by moving from planet to planet. I need to be able to associate those individual planets with the difficulty and the attacks that are happening. So right now there is a difficulty system that's built into the manager. I'm going to have to get the game started and show what that looks like. So the game manager itself has 3 difficulties configured. In each difficulty has starting minerals, mining speed. Honestly, not sure. We don't really do much with the mining speed. We do actually help in the higher levels with that. Or mining speed is how long it takes to mine a single bit. So easiest takes about 5 seconds less by default to mine just an empty space. And difficulties also define how often both minerals and rocks are found at each layer. It gets you see progressively more prevalent to find both rocks and minerals in higher amounts. So for each layer there is a percentage chance for levels 1, 2, and 3 of mineral and rock, and then sort of combine to create this pattern. So I'm going to be moving this difficulty class right here. I'm going to move that into this project manager or planet manager, and that will let me once I then later implement this progression of loading individual planets, I'll be able to begin generating them with different difficulties or pre-defining some specific planets if I decide that I'm going to have more of a curated progression. So right now the difficulty is a major part of the game manager, which has current difficulty and current difficulty level and a list of difficulties, but we're going to be getting rid of that in order to do this. So we're actually just going to get rid of, well, let's go ahead and make sure. So yeah, we need to commit that change. So fix direction of mining, not to default from right, and to mine just nearly touch. Alright, so the previous thing we fixed, now we're going to go ahead and start ripping the difficulty as a property of the game manager out. We're still going to keep the property to look up the difficulty, but instead it's going to come from this planet manager, which will stick around and is not part of the game manager. So that also means we want to So we're going to make this, we get rid of this property. In fact, just sort of make sure we don't miss it anywhere. And have no idea why. Get an error there. It's back. Sometimes Small Enter doesn't always do the best job of knowing what's actually happening. I expect to get some errors here. I think I caught every reference that I could see. There's a good chance I'm missing some, so go ahead and see what pops up. Yep. I always start with clearing everything but the errors. Go back to the warnings later. So right now there are 3 difficulty buttons on the title screen, and I think for the moment, I don't think they're really gonna do anything. So I'm just going to disable that right now, because at the moment I'm getting rid of those easy hard or easy normal hard buttons on the title screen, and just keep the start for testing right now. That's fine, and I can instead replace it by having individual levels to select, which I'm going to have to add some sort of planet selector as well as game progress to give you access only to the planets you've already reached. And there are plenty of places that I've referenced this difficulty which no longer exists. Oh man, so I think I'm definitely going to take my original plan, set a property, let's get access to that, so public difficulties. So rather than change all these, I think it's just fine to just sort of abstract that a little bit. Go ahead and reload that, see how many references that fixes. Definitely need at least one attack stage and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mineral layers. But nice if I had gone through just sort of alright, let's see. Attack every 5 seconds, every 1 for a minute, attack every 5 seconds with can't even remember the exact meaning of some of these variables, so that's all going to go away annoyingly as I edited it with game mode on. Let's give that a try. Here we go. Definitely want to tone down the rocket speed. Definitely want to tone down the rocket speed. Start out with let's say 150 minerals. Slow that rocket speed down a little more also. Definitely going to be doing some more work this evening, but I will be ending the stream at 11 p.m. If the plan holds this again by Sunday night, and I have a good bit of progress some work on this every night between now and Sunday. Uh, and try to work on having kind of planned 1 hour sessions that have specific things I want to focus on that might handle something I think would be interesting to share or something to show. I'm going to try to work on kind of focusing the stream sessions I do with a specific focus that works better for the streaming, that is a more interesting and useful thing to other people, and focus on more mundane, tedious, or specific to me issues in the time between those streams. For the moment, I do need to do some of those tedious things, including making this first sort of test planet I'm doing something that's more interesting for the tests. Plan set up for either for really early level or just testing level where we have tons of resources available. And along with that easy first level, I think we can pull that rocket speed down even more. Alright, it's definitely, I think, good. Save that scene. This is the main play scene where all the gameplay itself is implemented. And I'm just going to, so as part of this, remove some buttons. The title screen, which fortunately is currently, for some other changes with the planets move that is currently in progress, the title screen, or at least migrating from the title screen to the game itself, is broken right now. So what I am going to do is just remove these buttons right here. Fortunately, they're all behind a big splash screen. Have to disable it just temporarily while I'm working on them. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I may later add sort of like 3 different progressions of planets, and so this easy, normal, hard might come back. For the moment, it's going to be easier to just disable those, so that when you're playing, they just sort of don't come into account. So I'm going to commit this, move difficulty into Planet Manager. The hope then is that this Planet Manager gains the ability to sort of load both this difficulty and um, the day-night cycle and planet terrain color information from this long list of per planet challenges. I'm still fleshing out what those challenges look like, if they're just going to be different difficulties and different amounts of available mineral, if they're going to have some more specific challenges, especially with things like caverns that have to be mined into or other sorts of physical challenges. So we'll probably see some experiments in that coming up and solidify what that progression will look like. And I'm hoping that the planets also give me a chance to sort of really narrow down instead of just randomness, really having a consistent progress of difficulty so that I can kind of try to map out how hard is it, how long does it take to beat a level, um, how quickly do you have to play to get through a level and to keep up with the increasing difficulty of the attacks, and create some metrics for rating these difficulties and making sure the progression has a good gradient to go against. Maybe I'll include some of that in future streams. I can really talk not just about how I'm building this, but how I'm figuring out what it is I need to build in the first place. So that's it for tonight, and I expect to have a bit more structure and hopefully more interesting things to work on Sunday at 10 p.m.